Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update on Ukraine, and we have awesome news for Ukrainian army since we have reached Cherngar with our rocket artillery systems and something exploded there. There was the column of the Russian military vehicles there as it was reported this evening, and it was under attack by some sort of the artillery. The thing that Cherngar is really far away from the front lines. Let's zoom to the particular spot. So here is Crimea and Cherngar here is on the top in Kherson region. So Cherngar is over here. This is the bridge over here, very tiny but very important, which should have been destroyed even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I think it was betrayed from the generals, commanders. The investigation still is ongoing, and the general who was responsible for the south part somehow eliminated himself from this world. So in the February, Russian forces with no resistance penetrated this area to Ukrainian territory. Cherngar is the checkpoint for Ukrainian side, and there was one more on the Russian side. And usually civilians went across the Cherngar checkpoint to meet their relatives and other things. This path is still working, however, but Russia restricted the movement of civilians over there, so it was for sure the military column that was under attack by artillery. The problem that this area cannot be reached by the standard HIMARS rocket, so let's use the artillery system and check. So we're gonna take HIMARS or M270, doesn't matter, they use standard packages, so the range is up to 84 kilometers. ATACMS is still not in use by Ukrainian forces, at least officially. So we may put it to Cherngar over here, and you may see that Ukraine couldn't reach it with the HIMARS artillery. And I don't think it was done with the help of the HIMARS rocket systems, because the column is the moving target. It's hard to predict the next point exactly at the time then the rocket should hit it. That is why maybe the column was stationary at the same spot, or with a high probability, as I said to you, it was sabotaged by partisans or pro-Ukrainian forces, which are in the Kherson region, obviously. Well, those news are awesome, not just from the tactical perspective that Russia lost a part of their military vehicles and maybe army men, but also shows that Russian military is vulnerable, even far away from the front lines. It's the great achievement by Ukrainians to lower even more the morale of the Russian soldiers. And remember, what they advocated most of the pro-Russian activist collaborants to Henichynsk, which is not far from Cherngar, so we can also reach that place. And this is the very important hub since it has the railroad connection, and also Russia put their military base over there. So they have the huge base in Jankoy and also Henichynsk. And for the bad news, as for Ukrainian army, I may say that for the morale, not everything is okay for Ukrainian armed forces. You see, the Ukrainian parliament took the new law which may punish the soldiers if they will go out from the front lines, if they voluntarily leave their military bases, if they, I don't know about this, if they surrender or not, but those measures are quite strict compared to what it was 8 years ago. In general, Ukrainians are still willing to fight, but there are some of the men who are willing to go back home, even though they voluntarily went to the front lines before. And I understand that because they were there without any change since the beginning of the war. And the conditions that they face with on the front lines are really terrible. Psychologically, it's very hard for them to stay there for a long time. And that should be evolved by the Ukrainian commanders who are responsible for their soldiers on the front lines. But sometimes those commanders are in lack of competence. And with the new law, commanders will have the right to punish their soldiers more, but they will also be under the same law. Our chief general Zelensky asked President Zelensky to sign finally the law that will apply strict sanctions on those Ukrainian soldiers who would like to leave the front lines and other stuff. And he says that we need to rise the discipline in Ukrainian forces. And also sometimes I see the videos of our soldiers who blame our command for the wrongdoing. And it's the war, my friends. There are lots of the human factors. You cannot control everyone. In general, everything is okay. Zelensky said that he trusts their commanders. The Ukrainian commanders are awesome, but I wouldn't say like that, because in the army command there will be always some sort of the big heads. And about the school of our military, it was just developed during the recent 8 years. Before it was more like a Soviet army, something terrible. The commanders would still need to go through the special training. They need to share the responsibility with their soldiers. And I'm really surprised that Zelensky spoke openly to society, to President Zelensky, to take that law. It means that nothing is 100% bright in Ukrainian army. And yeah, simply it's not a good sign. And let's check out the Bakhmut situation, my friends, where Russia has some sort of the advancement. They again went to the residential area. So before they retreated from this area, and now they gained the control. So let's go to the timeline. Before it was like that. They went to the city, and after some fighting they retreated, from what I understood, and now they went to the city again. And for your information, those buildings are totally destroyed out there. And if we move north from the Bakhmut city, you'll see Bilohorivka over here. There are lots of the villages with the same name, not far away near to the Lysychansk. There is also Bilohorivka, so it's not that one. This is the other one, and it was taken by the Russians recently. So yesterday it was like that, and Russians mostly crossed the river over here and were able to take this village under their control. About the village itself, it's not very big. On the satellite image, I may not say you how many houses are there, but it's kind of small one. We have a good news for Ukrainian soldiers now. In December, they will have increasement in their salary by 37%, which is great, I may say. Putler attended Belarus today. I say not Belarus, but Belarus, because I think that Belarus is under Russian control. It's like one more region of Russia, so I call it Belarus, not Belarus. It will be Belarus again, then they will drive out all of the Russian occupiers together with Lukashenko, and now for me it's Belarus. So Lukashenko himself met with President Putin, and the main idea for Putin is to force Lukashenko for the joint operation on the north part of Ukraine. And we see the signs that it may happen not next month, but could be in February or March. And Putin already commented that after the meeting they have already reached some sort of result. And there was not just Putin and Lukashenko, there were defense ministers of the both countries, ministers of the foreign affairs, some delegations were presented over there. And it was the first visit of Putin to Belarus for recent 3 years. European Union agreed to limit the price for the Russian gas, and they will limit it for 1,900 euros per 1,000 cubic meters. That's awesome news, and Russian officials already commented that it's unacceptable because it may dramatically reduce their budget, and Gazprom now is struggling really. They cannot sell their gas in Europe, and also President of Turkey Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that they will send the Turkmenistan gas through Caucasus and through Azerbaijan as well, across the Black Sea towards European Union, and Turkey will be the hub for that gas from the Turkmenistan, and that will cut supplies from Russia. There was the drone attack today. Russia used around 30 of the Shahid drones. We say all of them were shut down, but basically it's the kamikaze drone. In any case, it will reach the ground. And again, critical infrastructure was hit in Kyiv city, and not only so, I called to my parents, they stay without electricity for a long time already, few days. Ukraine haven't got any weaponry from Lend-Lease program from United States so far, and United States supply weaponry to Ukraine through other programs that will help to reduce the load on Ukrainian economy, because now Ukraine is struggling without electricity, economy is shrinking. We lost around 40% of it this year, and I wonder how we actually keep okay with our bank system and other stuff. So United States help in their way, and that way is very effective. And here we have the unique video of MiG-29 using the United States AGM-88 HARM rockets that are capable to destroy the Russian air defense systems, even modern S-300s and S-400s. So let's watch it. Here's the one rocket, and there's the other, and immediately turning with the G-force. And here you can see that it is for sure AGM HARM rocket. It's very unique and, as I said to you, very effective. Our MiG-29s were modernized to carry that weaponry, and it's fantastic. Washington Post article says that Putin may flatten all of Ukraine. So they got the question, and in article they answered yes, Ukraine should be prepared for that, but I wouldn't say like that. To do so, like Putin done in Chechen Republic, where Russia used their bombers to flatten the ground, cities, villages, everything. In Ukraine, it's not possible because we have air defense, and Russia will have dramatic losses in case they would try to go and bomb Ukraine. Also, Ukraine is a very big country, bigger than France, and you cannot just compare it to the small Chechnya. My opinion that it will never happen, but Russia will continue to use the cruise missiles and Shahed drones to destroy Ukrainian infrastructure. As for the other buildings, occasionally they somehow target the residential buildings and others, even hospitals, but those are just occasional cases. Mostly they hit civilian infrastructure as power plants and power lines. Russia released the modernized version of the Tu-160, a White Swan that is capable of carrying the nuclear missiles or rockets. I think it's the best strategic bomber out there, but Russia has just few of them, and modernized version carries Western-made technologies. So what they got before the sanctions applied, they may put on their airplanes. As for perspective, there is none for this airplane. Soviet Union was able to design and build those birds, and Russia now is capable just to support them flying, and only with the Western-made technologies. Remember the Snake Island? It was quite a long fight for that small piece of land, and finally Russians left it for good, but Ukrainian soldiers haven't landed there either, so now it's no one's land because it's very dangerous to put soldiers over there, and Russia also may use their rockets to target our soldiers, so it's not very critical for us to keep that island inhabited. But still, we have some sort of the journalists or maybe military who attended the place, and now we can see some of the pictures. There is no snow because it's on the south part. It's very warm out there during the winter time. Still, it's like autumn for Kyiv region. Probably those are books, air defense systems, or maybe tours. It's hard to tell from this perspective. And here you can see just a rubber boat was used to reach that island. And here is the helicopter that was shot down over there. For now, I am in doubt whether it was a Ukrainian helicopter or the Russian one. If I would see the place, I would tell you for sure. Ukraine says that Russia is training soldiers for possible new offensive, as was told by the commander Zelensky. It may happen in February or March, and Russia may use the vast frontal attack. You may compare it with the Second World War. In February this year, they advanced with the narrow columns, and those columns were demolished mostly in the Kyiv area, and the remaining forces were forced to retreat. And the Ukrainian side now says, based on the intelligence information provided, that Russia may advance all across the border, but I think it may not happen as well, because we already prepare for that and we built the defense line near to the Belarusian border. And it's kind of nonsense from Russia to do that stuff with the resources they have. They need at least 1 million soldiers for that possible attack to reach Kyiv and northern part of Ukraine, successfully taking the territories, but with just 200,000 soldiers that they plan to use for that attack, that massive one, I think it will not work, because we have around the same concentration of our forces in that region, and Russia needs to have at least 3 or maybe even 5 times more for the successful attack. There is information from Moldovan officials that Russia may attack Moldova in 2023. I do not believe that, because they don't have the border. Russia doesn't have the border with Moldova. They have Transnistria that is supported by Russia, but it's locked between Ukraine and Moldova, and they simply cannot send reinforcements to the area, so I do not believe that. As for the possible Ukrainian counterattack on Melitopol, Russia is getting ready for it. They put reinforcements to the city and they start to build the defense line, and also in a city center itself. So there were some of the pictures that showed it in the internet. And still, I think that Ukrainian army should try to get Melitopol under the control in January next year. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine. If you want to support this channel, press the like button. If you want to support me financially, there are some of the links in the video description below. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal, or Donatella, whichever is more convenient for you. Thank you so much for your kind support. And also, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.